As you can see, we have a few more candles than usually today in the sanctuary. The reason being, it is a Candle Mass Sunday. It's one of the very, very ancient Catholic traditions, going all the way back to 12th or 13th century. Many churches have abandoned doing candle masses, blessing the candles, doing candle procession, because it is such an old and ancient custom. Yet, in our church, we choose to continue these old customs. Just like Mary and Joseph chose to follow through with the custom of purification. You see, in the Mosaic law, in the law of Moses coming from the Bible, it is believed that a woman after childbirth is unclean. For 40 days, she cannot be touched. She cannot go to the temple because she gave birth. So it takes 40 days for that ritual uncleanness to go away. And she has to make a sacrifice, a pigeon or a dove. And then, after a proper sacrifice, 40 days after childbirth, she is okay to walk into the temple once again, because she had been cleaned. All those ritual laws of Moses make little or no sense to us today. And yet, Mary and Joseph, knowing that they have a very special child, they chose to go through with that outdated custom. They chose to be obedient to that religious law, even they knew it most probably doesn't apply to them. Let's be honest. If you are a father, if you are a husband, and your wife gives birth to your first child, you don't think of your wife as something unclean, do you? You would like to kiss her all over and hold her all the time because she just gave you your first child. She is the queen and you can carry her on her pillow for the 40 days. That's a normal reaction of a husband when his wife or girlfriend presents him with a child. We don't think of a mother as something unclean that needs to be purified. We think of a mother today as something beautiful, as something sacred and holy. And so for us, it is challenging to accept that strange custom that Mary had to be purified after childbirth. It makes no sense. Childbirth is an amazing miracle. Why would it render anyone unclean is beyond me. Perhaps this is why the Catholic Church has changed the name of the feast day today. Noticed what I said? The Catholic Church has changed. It does happen once a century or two, but it does happen. In 1960s, the Catholic Church has changed the name of this feast day from the purification of the Blessed Virgin Mary to the presentation of the Lord. So the accent has been switched from Mary being unclean and now clean again to the parents presenting the child in the temple. Once they arrive at the temple, Simeon notices Jesus and says, "He is the light of the nations." And that's why we have candles on Candlemas Sunday. Because Simeon, for the very first time ever, recognizes Jesus as the light of the nations. This is the first time in the Gospels that Jesus is called the light. That's why we have the Easter candle right in front of us to remind us that Jesus is the light of our lives, that we follow him just like we followed that candle in the procession around the church, that he shows us the way, that he is the way. Some people, especially philosophers, will say that we are what we eat, right? I'm sure you have heard that statement. We are what we eat. I say we are what we drink. So, if we are what we eat, or if we are what we drink, what would you be? Tyler? Oatmeal with a side of Kahlua, or with a side of what? Beer? His wife says beer. How about you, Teresa? So you'll be just the side of meal. What would be your meal? Steak. Well, if we are what we eat, I would be by now a kale salad with a side of vodka shot, probably. But you see how it makes sense? It is a metaphor. We are the product of our environment, right? Our families shape us. Our society makes us into what we are. If you think about it for a moment, really, you have been shaped and formed by so many forces around you that sometimes it's difficult to believe that we are truly free to shape our own destiny. But today I propose a new statement. I hope someone in Wikipedia will notice that. We are what we celebrate. We are what we celebrate. I believe seriously that all those rites, all those rituals that we perform make us into who we are. Think about it. What makes you Catholic? The abstract dogmas of the church that you all know by heart? Sure. What makes you Catholic is that you come to church every weekend, and that you know by heart what the priest is going to say behind the altar. Most of you can recite the consecration prayer with me, with your eyes closed. Why? Because you have been doing this every weekend, and it has grown into you, or you have grown into it. You don't even think you come to church, you put your hand in the holy water, you make a sign of the cross, and for people who are not Catholic, you will look at, what the heck are you doing? That simple gesture of crossing yourself with the holy water is another ritual that makes you who you are. The very fact that we have Christmas and Easter makes you who you are. It's even that important that when you go on vacation, when you travel to somewhere nice like Canada, right? Sounds beautiful today. Okay, Key West, Florida, better. I want to go to Calgary, but if you want to go to Key West, it's okay with me. So if you go summer vacation, you walk into a church, if you smell incense, you know you are in the right church, right? You know it's a Catholic church. I came to a good place. If you see a holy water stand, you know you're in the right church. If you see statues of Mary and saints, you know you are in the right church. You don't need to see a label on the church door to know internally that you have come to the right place. Why? Because all those rituals, all those traditions and customs have made you into who you are. Even that ancient tradition of Candlemas and blessing candles on February 2nd is making us into who we are, is making us into believers. All those rites, all those celebrations that perhaps people think are stupid or outdated, they shape our identity. They give meaning to who we are. And that applies not only on the level of faith, but also on a social level and even a family experience. Think about what makes you American. Your birth certificate? Nah. What makes you feel and identify yourself as American? That on July the 4th you watch fireworks and you have barbecue, right? I am no citizen, but as I watch fireworks over the arch on Mississippi River, my heart is bumping faster and I feel like singing national anthem. That celebration makes me feel American. When we have our Thanksgiving dinner every year, or the Veterans Day, or today's big feast day of, what is the game? That thing. That makes us American. What makes us St. Louisians? St. Louis Cardinals. That we cheer for them every year, hoping they get to the finals. It's what makes us St. Louisians. All those rites and celebrations shape our identity. Not the passport, not your birth certificate, but those emotional moments that help you identify yourself with that group of people, that make your heart say, I'm proud to be American. Even when they sing the national anthem right before a baseball game, it feels different, doesn't it? Those rites, those perhaps outdated customs have amazing power of molding us into who we are. Even in your family, those celebrations make your family stronger. The saying goes, family that prays together stays together. It's true. A family that comes to church on Sunday stays together. A family that gathers every Thanksgiving night and overstuffs itself with all that food stays together because they do that year after year. And I know so many of you drive from one in-laws to another and then to these friends and that friends. Why we do this? Not because we are hungry for sure, but because it is a part of who we are. Thanksgiving dinner makes our families real. Some of the families have different customs, and I hope you develop them as well. I know many families who go every year to the Lake of the Ozarks. This is their tradition. Every year for that weekend or this long weekend, they escape the city and go for a trip together. Different families have different traditions, different customs. If yours does not have one yet, develop one. Because when you are old and your children bring their children, that's what they will be talking about. Those funny things that they did with their parents. And then, when Thanksgiving night comes around and you are 85, you look at all those grandchildren running around you. You know you did well. Your heart will be proud of what you have done with your life. Because you will realize those tiny customs, those celebrations with the family have made your life worthwhile, They have made your family to be strong and faithful and loving. Those celebrations, the incense, the candles, the holy water, the fact that you know the words of Mass by heart by now, those celebrations make us who we are. Those ritual experiences make us better, make us Catholic.